Greetings, this is the instrument sidekick video for the clarinet, page 35. More to figure out, test page for blue belt. Page 35, more to figure out, test page for blue belt. So, first before I talk about the first thing, the actual test is a song called Yummy Homework Yum. Dogs love this one. And that's the words, yummy homework yum. And this song, the whole point of the blue belt test is that you can figure out notes and the rhythms to a song that you've not heard before. Okay, you've never heard this song before. It's new to you. So, that's important to me, that you can figure out how to read the music and you don't necessarily have a reference of what it should sound like in your ear from having sung the song before or heard the song somewhere before. So that is quite the challenge. So I can't play that one for you. All right. So the actual test song, Yummy Over Yum, I'm not going to play for you because it's important to me that you've not heard it before and you figure it out. And it definitely has some challenges going on there. So it is a very difficult test. So your blue belt test. The only thing new in the song that we can't do online anyway is the song is a round. You'll see these numbers right here, 1 and 2. And what that means is if we were in a regular situation and we were in the same room playing together, someone would start in the beginning, maybe you, maybe me, someone else, would start in the beginning, and when they got to number 1, someone else would start in the beginning while the first person kept going at number 1. So all these notes and rhythms happen at the same time. And then when the first person gets to number 2 and the second person gets to number 1, someone else would start at the beginning, and they would keep reading all the way across. So if this finger is the first person, this finger is the second person, and this finger is the third person, they'd be reading all this at the same time going across, which makes it kind of a fun song. But you can't do that for the test if we're online. So normally we would add that to the test difficulty if we were in person. So next, Joy to the World. Now you know this song. So rhythmically, I've thrown in some new difficult rhythms for you because you already know how those rhythms sound, because I hope you've heard the song Joy to the World before. All right, so I'm going to work backwards here on what the circles are, and I'm going to go with the lowest circle here, the third circle, first. Okay, rather than one beam going across, you'll see here we have 2 beams. Okay, when you see 2 beams, that makes 16th notes. Okay, each is a fourth of a beat. So you know how 8th notes were 2 per beat. 16th notes are 4 per beat. And in this particular case, in other words, that means 2 16th notes fit in the time of 1 8th note. All right. So in this one, what would normally be a pair of 8th notes, and the first one's when your foot comes down. When your foot comes up, you're going to hit 2 notes instead of just 1 note when your foot's up. Normally you have T, and now you have T, tiki. T, tiki. All right. So that's a little bit more challenging. But once again, you know the song, so it'll make more sense. Then we have this over here, a dotted quarter note. Now, up till now, you knew that a dotted half note was 3 beats. And you might have come to the reasonable but false conclusion that a dot adds a beat to a note. And that's not what a dot does. So I'm going to want you to write this down, grab a pencil, and somewhere up around the top of the page, or in the bottom, it's wherever you can fit, write the following. A dot adds half the original value. A dot adds half the original value. A dot adds half the original value. Okay? So make sure you get all that down. If you have to pause in the video, go ahead. So the reason why it added a beat to a half note is because a half note's original value is 2. Half of 2 is 1, and it adds half the original value, so 2 plus 1 is 3. All right. So now we have a dotted quarter note. Now a quarter note, if you remember, is 1 beat. So the difficult question, what's half of 1 beat? A half. Pretty easy. All right. So it adds half the original value. So the hardest math question you'll ever be asked, what is 1 and a half? 1 and a half. The answer is the same thing as the question. It's crazy. Well, so what is 1 and a half? The answer is 1 and a half. All right. So the dotted quarter note here is 1 and a half beats, and then you have a single eighth note to be the rest of the half of the second beat. So you tap the ground again, and then when your foot comes up, you have that note. All right. So down, down, and when your foot comes up, you have that note. So pay very close attention to my footwork when I put the video on the lower, and you can see my footwork. And then we have a dotted eighth and a single 16th. A dotted eighth. Okay, well, eighth notes get half a beat. So what's half of a half? Now we have a more challenging math question. Okay, now math word questions, if you hear the word of, it means to multiply. Of means to multiply. So half of a half means to multiply. 1/2 times 1/2. Okay? So 1/2 times 1/2. Oh, yep, here's a paper. 1/2 times 1/2. All right. So if you've hopefully gotten this far in math, that means you multiply the numerators and multiply the denominators to come to the answer. So 1 times 1 is 1 for the numerator, and 2 times 2 is 4 for the denominator. So 1/2 times 1/2 is 1/4. All right. Now we add half the original value. So now we need 1/2 plus 1/4. All right. Now adding is different than multiplying. We need a common denominator. So we got to change 1/2 to 2/4. All right. Once we have a common denominator, then we just add the numerators and keep the denominator. So 2 plus 1 is 3. And we keep the 4 in the denominator. And now we have 3/4. So a dotted eighth note is 3/4 of a beat. That leaves 1/4 left of the beat. So we have a single 16th note. All right. So hence the dotted eighth 16th. So think of it, you're dividing the beat into 4 in your head, and you're just getting that last 16th note. I usually think of it as just as I tap on the dotted eighth, and then I get that 16th note just before I play the next note. Ta, ta-da, da, da-da, da, da-da. All right. So once again, you know the song, so it'll help out a little bit. So we have Joy to the World. Okay? Joy to the World. All right. So a bit challenging there, okay? And I will help you out in classes, of course. But as usual, I'll play it up here and then put the video down so you can see the my footwork with this one, which is really the main challenge. Once again, there are new notes that go all the way down to the new notes that on the you might have to look up on the fingering chart. All right, I'm not going to explain them here. I expect you to go ahead and look it up yourself. All right, so from the beginning, here I go. 1, 2, ready, and. And there we have it. All right, so let me put this down here so you can see my footwork while playing this. Alright. See if I can set this up on the stand. Move my seat over. Alright. I think you can see my flash socks going up and down well enough. There's some wires in the way of the view here. Alright. But I think you can still tell well enough. Alright, here I go. 1, 2, ready, and. Alrighty. So that is Joy to the World. I am not going to play Yummy Homework Yum for you, as I said. That is your test, and part of the test is the fact that you haven't heard me play it first. And figuring it out. And it's got notes that are below the break and above the break. So a whole lot of the notes that you learned in the fingering charts are in that song. You have eighth notes and half notes mostly. Ti, 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 ta. And you've got to figure out all the right notes and be able to go from below the break, above the break. All very, very, very challenging. It's a very hard test, okay? So it's going to take a lot of practice. Good luck with it. And play it for me in a lesson. And may the force be with you.